Welcome to another segment of Seek Elevation with Keisha, where you will get tips, strategies, and motivation to elevate your business and personal life practices. From our various discussions, we can talk about things that are business related, we can talk about relevant hot topics, or we can touch on some legal information. With that being said, let me give you my disclaimer. Anytime that I talk about legal information, I'm not giving you legal advice. I'm giving you tips to take, to research, to dig deeper, to expound on. If it sounds like it applies to you, then hopefully to hire outside counsel to learn more information on. So I'm giving you information to do just that. I'm not giving you advice because I will have to know your specific situation and you will have to pay to hire me because neither one of those things have happened. I am an attorney, but I am not yours. All right. So, with that being said, again, thank you for tuning in to another segment of SeekELLAvation, the Empowercast that intends to educate, enlighten, and elevate you as the listener from the various topics. I take topics from personal experiences, I take topics from experiences dealing with diverse people, and hopefully it's the topics that are selected on this Empowercast is something that either you thought about before, that you're constantly thinking about, or you possibly never did think about. Now it's on your radar to make you start thinking. Whatever it is to have you elevate, because that's what we do. Elevators, we go up. So today's topic is one that I personally had struggled with for some time, for quite some time. But once I came to a realization that there's a major difference in our actions based on this topic, I started to see my life shift in a different direction when it came to just, my career, personal life, just holistically. It just started shifting when I realized the difference between a particular action. And that action is being busy versus being productive. Being busy versus being productive. So one of the things that I realized and that I would, want to share is we need to really be cognizant about, step back, and make sure that we're deciphering between the two. We don't want to mistake being busy for being productive. Busy is not productivity. And I know that this concept is one that is probably challenging to dismantle. Because a great majority of us, as I said, this is something I struggled with, for many years. And I struggled with it because it just really wasn't on my radar. I really didn't measure the two. I just had a linear thought process when it comes to this. But a great majority of us have been indoctrinated in this school of thought, that looking busy means you're successful, or to look successful, you have to look busy. However way you want to think about it, that is the school of thought. And I've heard so many times where certain individuals in the industry, especially in entrepreneurship, or they teaching you how to go to the next level or whatever it is, one of the things that is echoed, one of the messages that's echoed is this thing about just doing a lot. Staying busy. I've heard people talk about, there's no time for sleep. There's no time for rest. While you're sleeping, the next person's doing this. There's just this whole narrative pushed on, being busy, busy, busy. Overwork yourself. And again, I learned that busyness is not the same as productivity. Busyness is not the same as being productive. And both can actually be measured. One can make it seem like you're successful, but the other actually produce fruits to show that you're successfully achieving whatever it is that you are setting out to achieve. So busyness is a sign of disharmony, is what I learned. Busyness is actually a sign of disharmony. It's not a sign of achievement. It is a sign of disharmony. It means that we're constantly seeking something. Something is not being attained. You may obtain certain things, achieve certain things along a journey, but you're not attaining, you're not hitting a target. And that's why we stay busy. We're seeking something outwardly, we're seeking validation from others, or even to validate ourselves that something has to be attained. And so it is a sign of disharmony. There is possibly a lack of confidence in something. There's possibly a lack of self-esteem, but there's definitely a lack of quiet trust. When we don't trust in whatever we're doing, whatever we want to achieve, whatever we set out, and we don't trust it, we're going to be busy because we are continuing to seek. So there's a lack of one or all three, but definitely a lack of quiet trust. It's a reflection of busyness, is a reflection of second guessing. We stay busy because we're even second guessing what possibly we can do. Although we may say one thing, we may think one thing, we just don't wholeheartedly believe that thing. And that's why we stay busy seeking and doing more and doing more and doing more, because it's a reflection of second guessing who and what we are. We get swept up in tasks and events in the midst of the chaos. There's people who can speak about like time management or task management. Individuals who stay busy, when you set things up, at least this is what I found, in your busyness, you still will have a bunch of incomplete things. And that's why the busyness continues. You'll have a whole bunch of incomplete tasks and events. And that chaos continues to roll over day after day after day. And you just stay busy. It almost feels like, you're walking and you're getting nowhere, like the Twilight Zone. You'll walk, turn corners, you look up and it feel like you started back at the same spot. How did you get there? So we're just swept up with the task and events and chaos. On the other end of the spectrum, contrasting that, productivity is a sign of harmony. So where busyness is a sign of disharmony, productivity is a sign of harmony. It is, with productivity, we are responding to synchronization. Busyness, we're not. Busyness, we're reacting. Productivity, we're responding. Busyness, we're reacting. We're reacting to what we haven't achieved yet. We're reacting to where we think we should be. We're reacting to who we think we are. Whereas productivity is, again, a sign of harmony, and we are responding to synchronization. We're responding to things that constantly keeps lining up, to dots that are connected for us. We're responding to that. So that is in contrast to busyness. And productivity is a reflection of our second nature, whereas busyness is a reflection of second guessing who and what we are. Productivity is a reflection of our second nature to who and what we are. It's natural. Productivity comes from a state of being in our natural zone, our natural flow. So we're not swept up by events or tasks in the midst of chaos. We are actually we're actually ushered into things that we're doing that's synchronized with ease and with flow. Now, even in the midst of chaos, even with things that can be going on around us, we're not swept up in events and tasks in that midst of chaos. We are responding to synchronization that has us in an ease and flow, even in the midst of chaos. And that's not to say that everything is easy. When I say we're in our ease and we're in our flow, we can, with ease and with flow, tackle things that are hard. That's another differentiation. I learned that there's a difference between hard work and working hard. Working hard is more aligned with busyness. You're working hard. It's more aligned with that. And again, the school of thought, we talk about grinding, like these imprints that we put on our mind naturally through conversations or just taking them on. Working hard is busyness, but productivity you can achieve in hard work. Some things, don't come easy. So it is hard work, but because you are in your ease and you're in your flow in the midst of it, and because things are synchronizing, you have that natural who and what you are that can tackle that hard work. So that's the difference between as well hard working and working hard and responding to synchronization versus reacting to the midst of chaos. I know one of the things I used to say all the time, and some of you watching and listening probably can totally agree on this. People will ask, how are you doing? How's things been going? How are you? And I'll say stuff like, oh, I'm busy and blessed. I'm busy and blessed. It sounds cool, right? That's what we say. We busy and blessed. Things happen and, people congratulate you on that. Well, good for you. Busy and blessed. Yeah, the contradictory in that. So definitely blessed. But what I started changing it to, my response to, is I went from being busy and blessed to being focused and faithful. I'm not busy. I'm focused. So even with so many things going on, they're synchronized. I'm focused. I'm not busy reacting and chasing and not completing. I am focused and being productive and in my flow with that. So I went from busy and blessed to responding to I'm faithful and focused because I'm intentional about everything that I do. There's some type of intent that is tied to what I'm doing, and I'm intentional about doing whatever it is that I do as well. So yeah, I switched that up. Busyness will have us seeing everything that we want. Busyness will have us, the target will constantly move with busyness. You're so busy, the target's moving. It's I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. And we're busy chasing that target that is a forever moving target. Whereas productivity will have us or have our sight seeing everything that we do have. So that's another thing that I've learned in my journey, is that when I'm absolutely or was absolutely considering myself busy and buying into that school of thought, I was constantly, even in my goal setting, I was constantly seeing everything that I want to achieve, everything I want. And it was always moving, always feeling like I could never quite achieve specific things, move on to the next, possibly come back to what I didn't achieve. But when I became more productive, when I focused on my efforts and my intention to be more productive and not busy, I started realizing that I had sight to see everything that I do have. And in seeing everything that I do have synchronized with desires and help those particular things manifest in my ease and flow of hard work. So I don't say I'm busy and blessed anymore. I say I'm focused and faithful. And yeah, and that's what I focused on. That's what I focus on being is focused and faithful. So because busyness is also a companion to distractions. Another thing I learned, busyness is a companion. It's a good fit. It works well with distractions. When you have busyness, when you have moving targets, when you're swept up by events and tasks in the midst of chaos, distraction is integrated in that. So busyness and distraction are companions. You can be busy doing this and then you're distracted by other things, or you're busy doing one thing and you think that a particular act that you need to execute is a part of achieving whatever you have set out in that busyness. To give you an example, constantly being on social media. Now, I'm not knocking. I know social media is a great tool. It can be a great tool for us to use, especially if you're in business, if you provide a product, if you provide a service, whatever, it could be great. But when you're busy as an individual who provides a product or a service, who runs a business, when you're busy, you can actually get distracted by how you're using those particular resources. But with productivity, distraction is a conflict. With busyness, distraction is a companion. With productivity, it's a conflict. And because it's a conflict, distractions, when you're productive, you're able to discern, you're able to, just identify those things that are not serving the intention well. You're able to be, you're off put by it. You're not drawn into it. You're off put by it, and you put it in its place, respective place, and in time, because you're productive. And so because productivity is in conflict with distractions, you find yourself being less distracted, if at all, when you're productive. That's why also I said I'm focused and faithful. Being focused and faithful, you're not going to see any distractions. And if some so happen to seep in there, you identify, you recognize it quick, and you fix it. So yeah, busyness is a companion to distractions, and productivity is a conflict. And productivity takes into consideration time. Now, time is something that is a construct, right? Because time in its sense is something that is endless. Time is endless. It is, but as individuals, we put measuring factors on this endless thing that exists to give us something tangible. So we have 12 months in a year. We have 30 days in a month. We have 7 days in a week, 24 hours in the day, and so forth, to give us something that we can use to measure, what we're doing, our time. It's a physical experience that we're having, right? So being timeless, or time not having, time being abundance, is something to understand from a different level. But as physical beings, we do use the existence of time, and we experience in a sequential time based on the social construct I just said. We experience our existence based on that sequential months, weeks, days, hours we measure it. And so because of that, because of this physical existence and that construct we have, we need to be intentional about it. And in being intentional, busyness is something that distract us from the intentional endeavor, whereas productivity is the companion of intention. So busyness is the companion of distraction, and productivity is a companion of intention. Productivity is the conflict, is in direct conflict of distraction, and in busyness is in direct conflict of intention. So as such, we must be intentional with, I found our no's and yes. I began to be really intentional with no's and yes, because no's and yes are tied to time. You say yes to everything, you're now expending your time. You're expending your time. You are now busy. You're now distracted. You're distracted. You're not completing the things that need to be complete at all or to its fullest. But you may think to yourself or appear to others to be successful. You got so much on your plate. You're doing so much. You're successful, right? You have a lot. You're working hard instead of dealing with hard work. And I began to get really intentional with my no's and yeses. Very, very intentional, not afraid to say no. And also on my goals and my stops, when to go, when to stop, when to move forward, or when to stand still. Movement, just because someone is moving doesn't mean that they're impacting. So movement can be in direct alignment with busyness. You're moving. So I know some people say, well, just get up and move. Just get up and start. You hear all those things echoed. And some people may even think, at least I'm doing something, right? But movement doesn't necessarily equate to impact. Movement just can equate to, like someone said, being in motion. At least I'm doing something. Movement means motion, but it doesn't necessarily mean impact. And if one is busy, they're moving right along with that moving target, right along with moving targets that they're trying to hit. You don't hit this one, maybe move over here and try to hit this one. I'll get back to this one. So you're moving, you're in motion, but there's no impact. When you don't know when to go, when to stop, when you don't know or are not intentional about when to say yes or no and go and stop, you may be moving, but not impacting. Productivity, synchronization, it allows you to be aligned and in tune with your no's and your yeses, your goals and stops, and being impactful in whatever you do. And the result of being impactful instead of just movement, the result of being impactful is producing. And that is what productivity is you are actually producing. Some people might say, well, I'm busy. There's things that I've accomplished in being busy, but accomplishing, for me, what I found, I've accomplished things in my busyness as well, but it didn't help me be productive. Those accomplishments came and went. I accomplished those things are there, but it's not productive. It doesn't build up that particular ladder. Busyness had a lot of things running against each other in this house. Mind, body, because you're busy. There's things that you're actually neglecting or doing too much of, and it's affecting your house. Your house is your mind, your body, your soul, emotions. All of that is this house. And busyness will have all these things running together, or not together, against each other in your house. And there's a saying, that we probably all heard. A house divided cannot stand. So when this house is divided, it will not stand. So accomplishing some things that withers away with the dust is not the same thing as being productive as a whole. Productive that shows within his house and within the results that are produced. So when I looked at it, when I really look at the shift of, my achievements that continue to stack and build on each other, that synchronize with each other, I looked at how productivity measured. And what I saw with productivity, I saw productivity yielded progress. Productivity yielded progress. I progressed in moving forward, moving upwards. I seen a complete progression with productivity. So went from productivity, I'm progressing, I prosper. I seen some type of prosperity come out of that progression. Things that was a major return, tenfold on whatever my actions were, that made the ease and flow even better for other things, other areas. So I seen that productivity yield progression, it yield then a prosperity, and then it yielded power. Whatever it is that I prospered in came back again, like I said, tenfold, which when it comes back in tenfold, it transcends as power as in more knowledgeable, more resources, more reach. So that prosperity gave more access, opened up more opportunities, gave more platforms. So the productivity yielded progress, then it yielded prosperity, then it yielded these powers, again, to still stay in ease and flow, even in the midst of chaos, even in hard work. The target's not moving, not busy, it's just there. And then from there, the unfolding of whatever the promise is. So productivity yielded progress, yielded prosperity, yielded powers, yielded promise. Whereas busyness, along that spectrum, something fell to the wayside and you start all over again. So let us not mistake productivity, busyness for productivity. They both can be measured, although both could outwardly look the same. In measuring the two, they're not the same. You're going to come out on two different ends of the equation. Busyness is going to do some addition in there with a lot more subtraction. Productivity is going to add and add and add and add, and there is going to be able to be measured in the things that you actually see that are tangible. So for me, what has my shift that I wanted to share is don't mistake busyness for being productive. Measure it to see which one that you currently are. And I gave you some of the things that I was able to measure mine by and find myself living more of a productive, intentional life that yields progress, prosperity, power, and unfolds the promise. So I want to leave you with this quote, and I want you to think about it, especially if you're someone that finds yourself busy. You are so busy being you that you have no idea how utterly unprecedented you are. So once you become productive instead of busy, you'll realize how unprecedented, unique, amazing you are, and you'll be able to unfold the promise. Thank you for listening to another segment of SeekELLAvation with Ella Keisha, where ye shall seek and you shall find. I want you to be educated. I want you to be empowered. I want you to be enlightened. Take this seed, nurture it, till it, water it, let it grow, but more importantly, share so that we all glow. Until next time, ELLAvators, we're going up.